Okay, so we're just gonna go straight forward. We're gonna get to your resumes. So we're gonna do your resumes slightly different than what you've done because you both have done what I consider to be old paradigm resumes. And that is the old way of doing things. And nobody's told you the new way. When the new way is really you have to be in your resume. It has to be able to express who you are and more importantly, what you've done and results that you can get. It does not matter. I really want you to get this, how long ago it was. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you have that in your repertoire and you can reach back and pull it. Okay? So what I want you to do now is get a blank sheet of paper. And I really want you to think about your history and all the things that you've done in your career. And I want you to think of about 5 or 6 things that stand out the most of your biggest accomplishments. And I want you to just write them down really quickly. What are some of the things that stick out the most that you're most proud of, that were very favorable, that you got, there was a problem, you came in, you saved the day, and you got the solution. And the solution saved the company. I want you to think about things like that. So I want you to look at the bullets that you wrote down, and I want you to tell me, and I want you to write down what the problem was before you got to what you did, okay? So in a brief, short bullet, what the problem was.
For each point we put down?
Yes. Your resume is all about showing you get results. So we want to show what kind of problems can you solve, not just for the companies that you work for, but what are you going to solve for them? So just do 1 or 2 of the bullets and we'll work with the 1 or 2. Did you get 1 or 2? Mm-hmm. So you have the problem and then you have what you did, right? Mm-hmm. And then what were the results of what you did?
Success.
What was the success?
The end result?
Yeah. What did you?
Well, for the result was I generated record operating profit in one of the units that I was managing.
Okay, and do you have a number that you can associate to that, approximately?
Yes.
Okay, you want to write that down? And the reason why you want to put a number is because you want to, whenever possible, have your results quantifiable. So how this process starts is, number 1, you just let your mind go to all the successes you've ever had. If you want to go over your entire career, somebody that has 30 years in business would go through the entire career and they would come up with 5, 6, maybe 10 bullets of things that they've done. Like, yeah, I did this. Yes, I've done that. And things that stick out in their mind that show what they are capable of, right? So now you've got 5 or 6 bullets. Mm-hmm. Do you think those are good bullets? And they represent who you are pretty good and what you could do?
Some.
Some? They show us what you're capable of? Mm-hmm. Yes. More than your other resume already, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That's the answer. Jeff, you're not so sure.
I'm not so sure.
You're skeptical. Okay.
Well, yeah, some of the stuff I put down I think is in my resume.
Okay.
I try to be quantifiable.
Perfect. So now that you have, so we're just going to work with 1 or 2 of your bullets, probably 1 each, okay? So pick one that you want to work on, that you know is a good one.
Okay.
Okay? So we're going to work with that one. So what is the problem that you noticed when you observed it, or something that came in that they called your attention to or asked you to be a part of to solve? What specifically did you do to get that result? And the result is always quantifiable. So I either saved this much, I increased this, I decreased this, however you want to say it. Okay? You got that? Mm-hmm. Let's hear what you got.
So for the problem and the solution, correct?
It's all going to be one. So let's hear the whole thing together.
Okay. Let's see. We were opening up a restaurant. We did not have any staff. We had to hire staff to open up a restaurant, grand opening, and we hired 120 people and got them all onboarded in about 10 days.
So, new location opening, needed to hire Immediately. What did you do?
Hired,
What did you do to hire?
interviewed.
What did you do to interview? How'd you get the people to interview?
Oh, we had a job fair.
Okay, so did you set up the job fair or did somebody else set up the job fair?
I did not set up the job fair.
So were you a part of the job fair?
Yes, I went to the job fair. Went with two other people, and we spent 8 hours interviewing probably 500 people. We narrowed it down to 120 and brought them on, and about 3 weeks later, when we opened the restaurant, we were down to 60. So
Okay, just one slight problem. You said 10 days and now we're at 13 days. Or you changed the date. So just, but the chronological order is important. So for your interview, because they're going to look at what you write down to match with their interview. So that's okay because we're just in draft form right now.
Right.
So first of all, for an HR position, what do you think would be a nice label for that one?
maybe onboarding for grand opening. I'm trying to.
Grand opening hires,
Okay.
right? Would that get their attention? Do you think they would be interested in having their HR person to have those skills?
I would hope.
Or at least have that experience, right? And interviewing. So what you want to do is say succinctly, new location was opening and I was responsible for vetting and hiring all new hires, all 110 hires, 120 hires, period. I hosted a job fair, interviewed for how many hours?
8.
8 hours a day?
1 day.
1 day. Interviewed how many people in 1 day?
Probably at least 500.
Conducted 500 interviews within an 8-hour period. So you oversaw that, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
So I oversaw the interview process for 500 people in an 8-hour period. Do you see what message you're conveying now?
Yes, I do. My question there is, it's supposed to be succinct, right? Or should it not be succinct? I mean,
It's going to be succinct.
Okay, is it okay to get
We're in
wordy?
draft form
Right,
now.
so it's okay to be a little wordy?
No,
No.
it's never okay to be wordy. Content is,
King.
we want it to be meaningful and we want it to have impact and we want it to be a POW because when they read that, could you see the difference?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Isn't this exciting? Come on.
Definitely. Because
This is like exciting. Like you already changed your mind about how your resume is going to be already. And we haven't even gotten through it. But so succinct, what the problem was, 1 sentence. What you specifically did, 2 or 3, 4 sentences. 1 sentence, 2 max of what were the results. This resulted in record time, hires, on board, for this date, grand opening was succinct and smooth and blew everybody's minds, whatever it is. Does that make sense? Okay. So what I'm giving you here is a list. And I want you to look at this list and see which words best identifies your bullets. And if you have a couple bullets that fall under one category, that's okay. So if you have 5 or 6 bullets, you want to have 5 or 6 words. So just circle the ones that resonate with your abilities, your capabilities, your experience. Okay? Do you have a few that match? That match really nicely? And that would be good and really show who you are for your job? All right, so let's see your resumes. Let's break out those babies. Let's see what you got. So first, I want you to grade each other's resume. On a scale of 0 to 10, just glancing at it, what would you give it? Just looking at it, not looking at the content.
Just looking at it?
Mm-hmm. Your
On a scale of
first
1 to 10?
instinct on the scale 1 to 10, number. Give it a number.
So is this based on what you've told us, or?
Yeah, what do you know now? In your experience, you're looking at this resume, what do you think?
It's got a lot of information.
No, I want a number.
A scale of 1 to 10. From what I know now, I'd give it a 6.
A 6. Okay. Remember, there's raters on the other side of your resume that are always using numbers to scale you. They're not looking deeper yet. They will in a moment. You know how much time they give to looking at resumes? 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Actually, less than I thought. I thought I was going to give them 10.